Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 5:30 on Friday, March the 1st. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning into Mountain News This Morning. Well, we made it out of February, to my recollection, without a really drop of snow, and I could not be more disappointed. But as we bring in meteorologist Paige Noel, Paige, March could bring something that February didn't.
Yeah, we've seen that history in the past where we're pretty warm for February and then maybe even seeing a little bit of snow as we head into March. And we might see that as we head into the weekend. But for now, we're too warm. We are just seeing those scattered rain chances a little bit earlier this evening. That's why you're seeing a wet roadway on Interstate 64 up into Moorhead. Temperatures, though, they're pretty chilly into those low to mid-30s. Some spots to those mid-40s over there across the mountains. So if you're headed out this morning, you're definitely going to want to pack the rain gear and maybe even the heavier coat for the kids, since that bus stop this morning will be a little bit chilly. But by the afternoon, we'll warm up to about the mid-40s with those scattered rain chances. And I promise we'll talk about that snow chance coming up in just a little bit.
Since you're talking snow, we'll keep you around. Thanks, Paige. Well, historic flooding has left thousands of people trapped in parts of Northern California. Officials say the Russian River topped 46 feet, sending floodwaters into two resort towns in Sonoma County. Homes and businesses are taking on water and cars are submerged. Officials evacuated a 25-mile stretch along the river. People there say they have not seen it this bad in nearly 2 decades.
Normally we park right here.
This is where you park?
Yeah, it's a road.
Now even more rain is expected. Local officials are urging the governor of California to declare a state of emergency. Well, yesterday, thousands of students missed a day of school across the Bluegrass as their teachers made their way to Frankfort. The teachers tell us ultimately this is about the students. Caitlin Sentner talked to several about why they chose to take a stand.
Our pistols are number 2, but our students are number 1.
Saying they're fighting for themselves, but ultimately fighting for their students.
140 strong!
A teachers group calls for a sick-out protesting House Bill 525.
There is an inconvenience, but I feel like if we don't stand up for the teachers that we have, the quality teachers, that they're going to lose quality teachers, and then I feel like down the road, the students will be worse off.
Some teachers not fond of 525 because it seeks to change some spots on the Board of Trustees, which decides their teacher pensions.
No 525! No 525!
Teachers walking away Thursday disappointed are figuring out what happens next.
No 525!
I know this is probably going to be heard again tomorrow, and they're going to be looking at making some amendments. And I think we just need to be very vigilant because of what happened last year with the sewage bill. When you wait till the last minute, they end up breaking the rules and not following procedures.
Representative Graham said it best. It's a vindictive bill, a play from last year. They're trying to take a 75-year-old board and a board that has been successful with large percentages lately in the last couple of years, and they're trying to fix something that's not broken. And that's what it is. You're trying to change something that doesn't need to be changed.
There's the potential for another sick out tomorrow. From the state capitol, Caitlin Sentner, WYMT Mountain News.
Now we will have more on the teacher protest and reaction coming up at 6:30. Well, in other news this morning, a Pike County man deemed the traveling bandit will appear in court on March 12th. The case is being tried in federal court in southern Florida. Here is the man federal agents arrested. His name is Jason Lee Robinson. Police say he robbed 7 banks in multiple states, including one in Miami. They caught him all the way in Colorado. Robinson does have a history of bank robberies. Meanwhile, President Trump is back in the States after his 2-day summit with Kim Jong-un. The meeting ended without a joint agreement on denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. The president is being applauded for walking away from a bad deal, but he's also receiving backlash over his comments about the death of American Otto Warmbier. President Trump says Kim Jong-un is not to blame for the death of the 22-year-old college student. Warmbier was severely injured while in North Korean custody and died back home. Senators Rob Portman and Sherrod Brown, both from Warmbier's home state of Ohio, say Kim Jong-un should not be left off the hook.
Never should go meet with the North Korean dictator without bringing up the name Otto Warmbier and bring up the whole issue of human rights over and over. That's who we are as a country.
The North Korean regime sentenced Warmbier to prison in 2016 for allegedly stealing a poster from a hotel in Pyongyang. Warmbier's family says he was brutally tortured. In December, the family was awarded $500 million in a lawsuit against North Korea. Well, Senator Mitch McConnell hopes to push through President Trump's pick for the next UN ambassador. We told you last week the president nominated Canadian Ambassador Kelly Knight Craft. Senator McConnell says he is proud the nominee is a Kentuckian.
And I've known her for years, active in civic matters. She's on the board of the University, she was on the board of the University of Kentucky trustees, an alma mater we both went to. And I think she's got all the skills you need for this kind of sensitive diplomatic post.
Now, Ms. Craft is the wife of Hazard Native and coal industry leader Joe Craft. Meanwhile, Senator Rand Paul penned a letter to President Trump requesting help. In his letter, the senator talked about the widespread flooding and how he would like for the president to help in any way possible if the damage warrants federal assistance. Meanwhile, unaccompanied minors can spend hours, days, maybe even months in detention centers after crossing the border. Every month, Border Patrol agents process hundreds of unaccompanied minors. Some turn themselves in while others are caught crossing the border. It's a process some do not fully grasp, leaving them fearful of what the future holds. Races is a San Antonio nonprofit that provides free services to immigrants, and Posada Guadalupe is a shelter for immigrants.
It sort of evolved into a ministry primarily for unaccompanied minors who have aged out of the detention center for
Posada Guadalupe is now home to 25 men who arrived as minors and aged out of the detention center, giving them a place to stay, food, counseling, and a sense of direction in their lives. Well, we have a big announcement to tell you about involving our station and our parent company, Gray Television. Decisions in Washington, D.C. impact us all, and we are taking steps to provide you with more in-depth coverage. Former cable news anchor Greta Van Susteren has joined WYMT and Gray Television as our chief national political analyst. Lee Zurich of our national investigative team has more on her new role.
When people meet you in person for the first time, what do they most frequently say?
You're so short.
Do they really? That's
absolutely say that's the first thing I hear is I'm so short, and so I just sort of stand there because I don't know what to say.
For more than 20 years, Greta Van Susteren had plenty to say, asking tough questions on CNN.
Now for the question everybody wants answered.
Fox News.
What are you waiting for? I mean, like, that's what I understand.
And MSNBC.
Why are so many people complaining about their premiums skyrocketing?
They aren't.
You don't think you don't think people are seeing skyrocketing? They're just sending me emails and lying to me.
Completing a cable television trifecta. Van Susteren will now turn her attention to local television, providing Gray's 93 markets with expert and unbiased political coverage and analysis. Gray chairman and CEO Hilton Howell says our stations and our viewers will benefit from Greta's no-nonsense, straightforward approach to complex political issues.
One thing I like about Gray is that Gray doesn't tell people what to think. Gray goes out and gets the news for the viewers and lets them think and lets viewers know that they're smart, they can make up their own mind. Gray has robust debate, but Gray doesn't fight and doesn't act like, you know, what we're seeing now more often on cable news.
Van Susteren has an active social media account. Her 1.2 million Twitter followers include Donald Trump and Senator Lindsey Graham on the right, Senators Amy Klobuchar and Cory Booker on the left. A vast Rolodex filled with decision makers all over the world.
One of the advantages of being in the business for a long time is you got a lot of contacts. I got a lot of people, I got their cell phone numbers. So I hope to get guests that will help, raise the profile on stories that matter to the people across the Gray platform.
For Greta Van Susteren, these pictures help tell her story. From world leaders to our nation's presidents, she's interviewed them all, and they keep coming back. A sign the 5'3" award-winning journalist is fulfilling her mission to be unbiased, fair, and factual.
The Constitution protects only one occupation, and that's specifically, and that's freedom of the press. And with that freedom of the press, I think, comes a huge moral obligation of us to be fair. And to be fair, we've got to work from facts. We can't make them up. They can't be what you want them to be, or what your friend wants them to be, or what your party wants them to be.
Exciting time at Gray Television for sure. Now, what was supposed to be another normal Thursday morning bus ride for 16 North Carolina students quickly turned into a dangerous and frightening ride. Around 8:30, the school bus crashed into a red car, then swerved onto the side of the road and eventually slammed into a nearby townhome. Students said the bus driver took a lot of the impact of the crash.
The bus driver, she looked like that she was about to pass out.
We were worried about the bus driver, but we had opened the emergency door and we just jumped.
The middle schoolers say they have never gone through emergency bus drills before, so they tried to get off the bus as fast as they could. We are told the bus driver was taken to the hospital. No word from officials on her injuries or how she is doing. Well, a family member of Middlesboro founder Alexander Arthur came to the town for a visit. Catherine Russell, the great-great-granddaughter of Arthur, saw the city for the first time since she was a teenager. She says she enjoys seeing several of the items from the Arthur family that she had seen as a kid again in the glass cases of the Arthur Museum and learning even more about her family.
A lot of it, I hear for the first time and it makes me want to dig more, and just learn more and more, and it's just really special.
Several organizations in Middlesboro provided Catherine with a luncheon and a tour of the city. Well, coming up, a check of your entertainment news, including what new project Idris Elba is working on.
And scattered rain chances and cooler temperatures are featured in your 7-day forecast. Those details coming up next.